All right, welcome to today's show. So I'm going to jump in and talk about the surge in MSTR today. It is zooming up. What is going on? All the way down last week and all the way up now this week. It's exciting. So we're going to get into that. Number two, we're going to talk about Trump's executive order that has been signed to allow cryptocurrency inside 401k plans and related employee retirement plans. There's $12.2 trillion in these plans. A percentage going into Bitcoin would change the freaking game. So we're going to jump into that, and we're going to take a look at MSTR and the future of MSTR. We're also going to look at some of Saylor's moves that he has made recently in acquiring more Bitcoin with preferred stock. And we're going to analyze the different types of preferred stock that he has out there, from Stride to Strife to Strike and all the new ones that have come out. It's good to see you, TC, also there in the chat box. And it is good to be back. So not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. Do your own research. This is just educational purposes only. And we're going to jump in and we're going to hear from Tom Lee and what he has to say about Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor is changing the reality of the stock market. And the reason is that he probably will end up being the largest, potentially the largest company in the stock market, okay? Especially if Bitcoin goes to 1 million. Yet he doesn't generate GAAP net income to justify it. He's based solely on the value of his balance sheet. And but that's not new to history, because when I graduated college, the biggest stock in the S&P, a top 5 name, was ExxonMobil. And it was top 5 for 28 years, 30 years, like an entire generation. Graduated, worked on Wall Street. A top 5 name was a company that was only valued on the value of its oil, not on its net income. So like MicroStrategy is like replacing Exxon in lore, because for a whole generation people said Exxon was the biggest company, but you don't value it on earnings. Well, MicroStrategy could be one of the biggest companies in the world, and it's valued on its Bitcoin.
Wow.
So interesting to hear from Tom Lee on this, and he's comparing ExxonMobil to Strategy, and ExxonMobil used to be valued on the basis of their oil, not on the basis of their actual income. And Strategies obviously being valued on the basis of their Bitcoin, not necessarily on the value of their income, because they're not actually generating per se income like a normal company or earnings like a normal company. So a very different world. Let's take a look at what happened last week. Some of you saw this, where Strategy reported its earnings, and of course it dumped and there was a sell-off. And Strategy went all the way down, I think, to like 360. If you look at it right now, I believe we're right around we went up to 409 and surged up as of moments ago. Now we're back down to about 406. But you're starting to see Strategy move. This is how the stock moves. And in the earnings report, Saylor came out with some news. And, if you've been following this stock for a while, you obviously know that they buy Bitcoin, and Strategy has been a little bit hit by the media and people who also own the stock to say, stop issuing common shares. It's diluting the stock. It's diluting the shareholders. And, there's many ways the Strategy buys Bitcoin. And one of them is by issuing common shares to actually get more money, because people buy the stock and then they take that money and they buy Bitcoin. And so they did that all last year. They did that this year. They've continued to do it. And while it temporarily dilutes the shares, it does add more Bitcoin per share over the long run. So it's actually really, really good for the shareholders. But people go, it makes the price so volatile, and in the short term, So Strategy came out with something in their quarterly earnings report that said they will not sell common stock to buy Bitcoin unless a 2.5x ratio is met. So basically, you have the net asset value of their Bitcoin, what their Bitcoin is worth. And when the stock is trading at a 2.5x of the Bitcoin value that they have, they will then issue more common shares to buy the stock. And right now, it's trading around 1.7 X, the stock is trading about 1.7x to the net asset value of its Bitcoin. So they will not issue more common shares to buy Bitcoin until it hits at least a 2.5x ratio. And later on in the show, I'll go specifically through the exact metrics of how they're going to do this based on the ratio of their stock to their actual net asset value of their Bitcoin. And we all know that we like when strategies trading above 2x the value of their Bitcoin. That's one of the reasons why I invest in strategy. And we saw it drop as low as 1.47x, I believe. And now it's back up above 1.7, and the stock is zooming today. So I think it's an important thing that Saylor spoke about, and we'll talk about the other ways that they can buy Bitcoin. So it's not to be worried. They're going to continue to buy more and more and more and more Bitcoin by issuing preferred stock. So don't worry about it. They're going to buy more Bitcoin, which is good news. Okay. So yeah, simple. So for that to happen, if you look at the current price of Bitcoin, for strategy to issue more common stock to buy Bitcoin, their stock would have to go up to $600 for them to issue more common shares to buy Bitcoin at the current value of what Bitcoin is at right now. So they won't be issuing common shares until the stock hits about $600 based on today's ratio. But they'll continue to buy Bitcoin, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come out next week with an announcement that they bought more Bitcoin, not by issuing common shares. Okay. So yeah, you might say until then slower Bitcoin buying, but I don't think so. Saylor's going to come up with creative ways to buy more Bitcoin. We know that he did a big buy with $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin that they bought with their new preferred stock, which is Stretch. I'll get into those today. You got Strike, you got Stride, you got Strife, you got Stretch. The basis of these is they are preferred stock, and they pay a fixed income, fixed dividend out to the people who buy it. And while strategy is very volatile when you own MSTR, the common stock, these are much, much, much more of fixed income and not as volatile at all. And so people who want fixed income invest in these. So we'll talk about these in a little bit. So selling stock above the 1.0x MNAV, which means above the net asset value of their Bitcoin, is still profitable. But that's not why people are investing in the stock. They don't want a 1.x or 1.1 MNAV. They want a 2.0 MNAV. And that's why people invest in strategy. So the new shareholder rules, or new rules that Saylor put out, protects the shareholders. So without the 2.5x ratio, Bitcoin accumulation slows down. That's what some people think. I think he's going to be massively accumulating Bitcoin, and you know, that's a quote unquote. That's a possibility. I highly doubt it. I think he's going to speed up through the rest of this year and buy more and more and more Bitcoin. Okay. So, yeah. So here's an analyst, Mark Palmer. He says this move is actually a good thing. Preferred stock avoids dilution, and that's the whole debate in the marketplace. When he issues preferred stock, it's not diluting shareholders, and it strengthens the long-term Bitcoin play. So it's a good thing. Okay, so again, new equity rules. The stock must hit $600 based on today's price point of Bitcoin for more common shares to be issued. Okay, so that is the status on that. Saylor says they'll be disciplined with their ATM offerings, which is what I just talked about. They'll make careful financing moves focused on maximizing Bitcoin yield. And the whole goal of strategy is to get more Bitcoin per share for its shareholders. And that's the game. Okay. I'm going to skip this because this is a little bit of analysis and I don't want to get into that. And we're going to get into MSTR stock. So the stock, this was some data as of yesterday. Obviously, we know the stock is now at about 405 or 406 today. But if you look at the 1 year return of strategy, it's over 200%. And if you look at the lifetime, kind of the base return since they've started doing this whole Bitcoin strategy, it's about 3,100%. And this year's strategy has still outperformed Bitcoin by quite a bit. So people are saying, hey, well, why is strategy not performing? Why is it not moving? Well, ultimately, it's beating Bitcoin. And it's winning. And this is why I own the stock, because it's super, super volatile. So when you have it go freaking all the way up and then you have it go all the way down, this is how the stock moves. And I believe this won't be the last of it. We'll continue to see lots of volatility over the next several months and several years with this stock. But it's very good. There's strong investor confidence in the stock right now. There's proof that the Bitcoin bet is paying off big. Saylor has an incredible plan, and I'll show you an analysis that Saylor did of what makes a good Bitcoin treasury company, because they've led the way to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And now there's over 150 companies, I think close to 200 now, that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And there's basically an analysis that Saylor says this is what makes a good, stable Bitcoin treasury company that I'll go into in a moment, okay? So MSTR is trading like a beast. If you look at the trading volume, $2.82 billion in daily trading volume, $4.56 billion in average 30-day volume. The stock's moving fast. People trade it because they like the volatility. I trade it. I made 22% last month trading MSTR. And so I'll take the ups and take the downs, and ultimately I'm holding on to the stock this year. But when I trade it, I made 22% last month trading it. So lots of people trade it because of the volatility. I also hold it for the volatility as well. So investors are active. MSTR is liquid and hot. The price is up, as we know. And if you look at strategies, this has been kind of a debate in the marketplace with the media that doesn't understand what strategy is. They've only got $8.23 billion in debt. So when you look at the value of their Bitcoin based on the move in the stock today, it's probably higher than 73 billion, but it's over $70 billion in terms of the value of their Bitcoin. So their debt is only $8.23 billion. So it's 11% compared to their Bitcoin net asset value. That is smart borrowing. And so you will often hear the media say things like, they're over leveraged, they're this, they're that. They got 11% of debt compared to their Bitcoin net asset value, guys. That's low. Strategy would have to dump well below 20,000 down to like 13,000 for there to be an issue. Obviously, Bitcoin would have to dump down to like 13,000 for strategy to have an issue. I don't think we're going back to 13,000. Now, that would suck for me as an MSTR shareholder if that happened, because strategy would go way, way, way down. And that's something to be mindful to as well. The stock goes up and it goes down. So, at some point we could have a massive bull run this year. And you've heard me say this over and over and over again. While I love riding the wave up, at some point at the end of this year, it's potential, theoretically, educational wise, that we could have a huge run up and a huge run back down. So I am planning for that. And if it doesn't happen, and many people are saying, wow, like we could continue the Bitcoin bull run into 2026 and we could just keep going up and have momentary dips, that's possible too. Anything's possible, but I am planning for the worst case scenario, which is why I will be taking some profits on MSTR at the end of the year. So there you have it. So this is a good sign. They're not over leveraged. If you look at their preferred shares, $6.32 billion, that's only 9% of their Bitcoin net asset value. And so they're not over leveraged. They're not over leveraged at all. All right. Not over leveraged at all. I see TC in there says, I know this sounds a bit disloyal. I bought some BMNR as well. Anyway, TC, not financial advice at all. I had to buy some too just to get in on it, man. So don't worry about it, okay? I don't feel like it's disloyal. I think it's just fun to get in on the action. So I hear you fully. That's funny that you say that because I bought some too. So extreme volatility, extreme opportunity. MSTR is super volatile, but that is part of the plan. Their 1 year volatility is 92%. The 30-day is 62%. The implied volatility is 55%. That is why we like strategy, because of the volatility. That's why I like strategy, because of the volatility, period. High risk, high reward. Now, strategy does have other investments and credit instruments like their preferred stock of Strife, Stride, Strike. And that's for people who are more fixed income investors. And so they're going after the fixed income market, which is $300 trillion. They're going after the bond market. And they want to capture some of those investors who want fixed income returns. rather than getting 5% in bonds, you can be with Strategy and earn 9, 10, 11% in their fixed income preferred stock. Not financial advice, just giving you education on it. So Strategy mirrors Bitcoin's explosive moves, as you've seen. So like when I pay attention to Strategy, I pay attention to Bitcoin. When I trade Strategy, I watch Bitcoin and I see what Bitcoin's doing as well as kind of a guiding light. But Strategies, like for me, I'm a bold investor. I like to invest. I like the volatility. And, everybody has to make their own choices on this. Remember, I bought my first shares of Strategy in 2020, sold them out, and then I bought back in 2024 at $79 was the first buy. And then my average price point is then in the $100 and something range for Strategy. So I bought in super early. So everybody needs to look at, their own risk tolerance and pay attention to what they have done. And I would look at my cost basis, what I bought in it, and make my own financial decisions. And I would suggest to me, because I can give myself advice, that like I will only make decisions based on what's right for me, not what everybody else is doing in the marketplace, because I know when I bought things, what my goals are, what my priorities are, what rates of return I want to hit on the stock before I take profits. And so that's kind of how I look at it. So now you look at the different types of preferred stock this Strategy has. We have Stride. It's now at $86. It went up like 29 cents the other day. It's slow and steady. The 3-month return is 1%. 1-year return is 1%. Lifetime return is 1%. It's more of a stable yield play. Stride is one of the preferred stocks he issued a while ago. And so this is an example of a fixed income asset that Strategy is offering in the marketplace for fixed income investors. So that's basically what it is. This whole thing with 1.19 billion in notional value, that means all of the preferred stock that's issued out there is worth $1.19 billion for Stride. So there you have that. The market cap has gone up, but it's a steady stock. It's not aiming for wild price action. It's income focused, and that's what the purpose of it is. And it's brilliant to actually have Saylor having these options in the marketplace to capitalize on investors who want MSTR, who are more risky, and investors who are more conservative. And that's the brilliance of Strategy and Saylor. So Stride offers a strong 10% dividend. It's paying about 11.6% right now, depending on what people buy in on the share price. So if you buy in, if so like the share price say is $100, if you buy in at a lower share price, like let's say it's at $86, your effective yield would be higher. So buying it below $100 is better for the actual people who are investing in it. Investors get paid well for holding it. I mean, where can you go in the fixed income market today and see an 11.6% effective yield? Are you kidding me? Like, come on. This is changing the landscape, guys. And I really want to point this out. Like what Saylor is doing here is changing the entire landscape, and we're just getting started. So when you look at what's really happening in the marketplace, like what he's done is change the entire fixed income market forever. He's introduced the most intelligent credit instruments with this preferred stock that's ever existed, I believe, in the history of finance. And we're just getting started. That's the thing. We're just getting started. And so it's an amazing thing to watch. And now there's 4 fixed income products out: Strife, Stride, Strike, and Stretch that just came out. If you don't know what Stretch is, people are referring to it as a money market. It's not a money market. It's a preferred stock. But Stretch pays out a dividend on a monthly basis. So while these other ones pay out on a quarterly basis, this is paying out on a monthly basis. And there's no maturity date on it. So I can invest in it and I can hold on to it in perpetuity. Okay, so all of these fixed income instruments that people invest in, like if you invest in a bond, the bond may come due in 4 years. When you invest in the preferred stock that Saylor has, it just is in perpetuity. If you hold it, he'll continue to pay out, and you can get out of it when you want. You can sell it when you want. You can buy in when you want. It's brilliant. The flexibility is brilliant. The rates of return compared to the bond market is brilliant. The brilliance that he's doing this to raise money to buy Bitcoin is brilliant. I mean, there is no company that exists on planet Earth right now like Strategy. There's just not. We have other ones coming in the game trying to mirror what Strategy is doing, and BMNR is a stock that just came out, or it's a company, and the company just decided to have Ethereum in their treasury. So now, just like Strategy stacking Bitcoin in their treasury, this company BMNR is actually stacking Ethereum in their treasury. And Tom Lee, who I just showed here, if you don't know who Tom Lee is, this gives you an idea.
Saylor.
That's Tom right there. I just showed this video earlier, so you can go back and watch it on the recording. But that's Tom Lee right there. And so Tom Lee got involved, and you've seen him on the media a lot talking about BMNR. We know there's companies that have put Solana on their balance sheet. Now he's putting Ethereum on the balance sheet, and he's like the spokesperson for this company, and he's involved heavily in this company, BMNR. And that stock's been soaring up. It's up like 800% or 900% since it came out with Ethereum on its balance sheet. So you're seeing like all these plays come in, but let's face it, nobody's got the credibility that Strategy has. Okay, nobody has the credibility that Strategy has. I do think that BMNR, not financial advice at all, guys, at all. Okay, at all. I personally bought some. Not a big amount, but I bought some because I just kind of looked at it. Like I got in Strategy early and I just saw what they're doing. And I'm like, I think Ethereum's going to run well as Bitcoin runs. And I'm interested to see what happens to BMNR over the next, 4 months or so of this bull run, or however long it lasts. So just on an idea of knowing, watching a little bit about what Tom Lee said, I'm like, I'm going to just dabble in there. Again, not financial advice. These are my goals, my choices. I'm not recommending anybody do that. Okay. So that's it. We're seeing these Bitcoin treasury companies spring up. We're seeing these now crypto treasury companies spring up. And this is just the beginning. One day we will see that the majority of companies in the S&P 500 will have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That's the trend in the direction of where the planet is going. And Trump just signed the executive order that came out, $12.2 trillion in 401k plans and employee retirement plans that exist in the marketplace right now. Now they have an option to invest in very simple ways in cryptocurrencies, also Bitcoin. This is huge. So if you just take like 1% of that market, or 0.5% of $12.2 trillion in these 401k plans, and now people can easily go buy Bitcoin, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? It's going to change the game. It's going to change the game. All right. So yeah, so that's good news. So let's get a little bit more into these, and I'll give you some analysis of what Saylor's saying about Strategy and why they are extremely stable in terms of their Bitcoin treasury company. All right. Also, if you want early access, you can click down below. I am coming out with a new platform called Money Game. It's not out yet, but the whole goal is to make trading and investing simple. The goal is to make it at a 5th grade level. We are gamifying it. We are getting rid of all the complex language that exists in trading platforms today, which if you've ever traded, you've got these charts and you've got these lines and you've got these terms. It's like, what the hell are they even talking about? So we have created a new platform that is going to make trading simple, where a 3rd grader could do it, and there's no complex terms. And while people are trading, they're going to get educated from an avatar that we created, and that avatar is going to give updates on somebody's favorite stock. So if somebody wants to know about Tesla while they're on the platform getting signals to trade, and it's all fake money, so it's game bucks, that now to say I could be on my phone watching this trading simulator and trade real money if I wanted. But the whole point is to get people the skill in a gamified, simple way to learn how to trade, learn how to invest, and while they're doing it, learn about their favorite stock. So an avatar will be there, and the avatar will be educating you a fun fact about Bitcoin, fun fact about Strategy, the future prediction of Strategy. Here's some history about Strategy and Michael Saylor, and they'll give it in little 90-second sound bites. So while you're sitting there trading or investing, you're getting educated from your avatar. It's going to be fun, and there's going to be games, and there's going to be contests, and there's going to be game bucks. So when people come on the platform, they'll get the game bucks, and it's going to, my whole goal is to help 99.9% of the population that doesn't understand money. and to simplify it so the rest of the world can get in the game versus 0.1% of the world that is up there on Wall Street or trading or is taking the time to learn the skill. I'm like, why take all the time to clear the words and look up the words and get in this complex world of traditional finance that doesn't make sense to me? Let's get in the new world of finance and simplify all the terminology so anybody can play the game, hence the World Money Game. So the link's down below. If you want to get on the early access list, I'm working with a badass development company that sold their company recently for $500 million, and they're now developing my platform. So all you got to do is enter your name and email, and you'll get on the early access list. Okay. So if you want that, it's right down below, and snag that. Okay. Let's continue. So we've got Stride. It talks about the trading volume here. The volatility is pretty low on Stride. It's 21%. Compare that to MSTR where the volatility is high. Stride moves 68% with MSTR, but only 14% with Bitcoin. So it shows you how these preferred stocks move with strategy and Bitcoin. And Stride's behavior follows MicroStrategy more than Bitcoin. And then in terms of the SPY correlation, it's like just 6%. Okay. So you have that. Strike is another one. If you haven't watched that, the price is on the rise. Strike has been doing better than Stride. The price was 107 as of yesterday. The 3-month return on Stride is 19%. The 1-year return is 34%. So you got Strike showing solid long-term growth, which is another preferred stock. All you got to know on this is that these are preferred stocks that basically pay fixed income. So rather than getting confused of like, what's this and how does this work? It's just all basically to generalize. Stride and Strike have similar characteristics where they pay out fixed income. Okay. So there, I'm not going to get into that. And you have Strike gives out an 8% dividend and a 7.4% effective yield, a reliable payout for holders. Okay. You're earning passive income just by holding it. So that yield is attractive in today's market. Where are you going to go? You're going to get T-bills at 4% or bonds at 5%. Strike and Stride are a lot better. Okay. So the volatility sits at about 39% with 10 million in daily trades. If you look at the trading volume of Strike compared to MSTR, there's no comparison. I'll show you a graph on this in just a second. Okay. So Strike moves 88% with Bitcoin and 87% with SPY, tightly tied to big market forces. All right. So good. And then we have Strife, which is another one, now at $117. It's up 0.57, about 0.49% just yesterday. And the 3-month return is 25%. So you can see these preferred stocks are doing very, very well, and they are kicking some ass. Strife offers about a 10% dividend with an 8.5% effective yield. Essentially, if somebody as the price is up, like if I buy the price at $107, then my yield that I'm going to get on this and my payout is going to be lower. If I buy it below the $100 mark, let's say at 85, my payout and my return is going to be higher. Okay, there you go. So that's the weather and the sports with that. Let's get into a little action here on the ETFs recently. So if you saw on August 6th, this is when we started to see the rebound with Bitcoin. Where there was an increase in net inflows led by the different ETFs out there in the marketplace. So this is very good that institutional demand remains strong with the ETFs, and people are aping into the ETFs, which is good news. Strategy reveals its MSTR equity guidance. So basically, this is what I was talking about earlier. If you look here, you see that above 4.0 MNAV, Strategy will actively issue MSTR to acquire Bitcoin. So what does that mean? So when the MNAV is at 4.0, meaning you have the net asset value of the Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and then when the stock is at a 4x of that, trading at 4 times that, they will actively and aggressively issue more stock to buy more Bitcoin. Now you might be like, wow, Ted, the MNAV is like 1.7 now. When the hell are we going to get up to a 4.0 MNAV? Well, last year we were above a 4.0 MNAV. So they will actively issue MSTR to acquire Bitcoin, which means issue common shares to buy more Bitcoin, which temporarily dilutes the shareholders, but also increases the Bitcoin per share over time. And that's what we like. Okay. Between 2.5x and 4.0 MNAV, Strategy will opportunistically issue MSTR to acquire Bitcoin. What does that mean? It says the same exact thing, that they're going to issue common shares between 2.5 and 4.0 when the opportunity looks right. So above 4.0, they're going to actively do it constantly 2.5 to 4.0. They're going to do it when the opportunity is right. So this is big news. Below 2.5, they will not issue common shares to buy Bitcoin. The only way they're going to issue common shares in the marketplace is to pay interest on debt obligations and fund preferred equity dividends. So below 2.5, they're not going to issue common shares to buy Bitcoin. Okay, which is a big announcement from Strategy. And below 1.0x, Strategy will consider issuing credit to repurchase MSTR. So the credit instruments that they issue are the strikes, the strides, the stripes that I just talked about, okay? To put it in plain English, the preferred stocks, the paid fixed income, all right? So that's big news. Which company has the healthiest options market in the world? If you look at Strategy, they have 93% compared to Tesla at 24%. What does that mean in plain English? If you look at the total market cap of Strategy, the option market is actually almost equal to the total market cap and value of Strategy. So if Strategy's market cap is, let's say, 110 billion, the options market is like 100 freaking billion dollars. Okay, that's huge, crazy, right? So it's highly traded in the options market. And the comparison between Tesla and Meta and Nvidia is not even a comparison. If I had bought Bitcoin sooner, the ultimate hodl, regret look, there's Sailor. He's looking smooth in his orange jacket. What's up, John? What's up, Anthony? I see you guys in the chat. What's up, Larry? Good to see you, man. So this is pretty cool, right? If I had bought Bitcoin sooner. I personally believe that Bitcoin's definitely at some point in our lifetime going to 1 million. I also believe that what Sailor says that we are going to see a $13 million Bitcoin. And I do think that eventually in the future, a $21 million Bitcoin is possible because that's only an average of 29% ROI compounded over the next 21 years. And you would get a $21 million Bitcoin. So, people talk about $1 million, $2 million as like, wow, it'd be amazing if Bitcoin one day hit $1 million to $2 million. I personally think that's a layup, not financial advice, that we're absolutely going to hit that. And that's just my personal viewpoint. Okay. And particularly when you look at what's going on in the marketplace, if you just back it up and you go, number one, if I look at Bitcoin treasury companies just continuing to acquire Bitcoin on their balance sheet, that's not going to stop into the future. All right, we might have some Bitcoin treasury companies that are irresponsible, that get over leveraged, that do some things that aren't that intelligent. But over time, more companies will put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. End of story. So that's going to be constant accumulation over the years. Number two, the ETFs aren't going to stop. You have BlackRock, which is leading the way. There are over 700,000 Bitcoin that they have purchased and made available so other people can invest in it in their ETFs. You've got Strategy with 628,000 Bitcoin. They're clearly not an ETF, but they continue to buy Bitcoin. So you look at the aggressive accumulation of ETFs accumulating Bitcoin. You look at the aggressive accumulation of Strategy accumulating Bitcoin. You look at the aggressive accumulation of Bitcoin treasury companies. You now look at 401k plans being able to actually invest in cryptocurrency, a $12.2 trillion marketplace. You now look at the bond marketplace out there with Sailor's credit instruments of Strife, of Strike, of Stride, and now he's going to eat up a small percentage of the fixed income market, and now that money is going to flow into Strategy so they can go buy more Bitcoin. You look at governments getting on board, you look at banks getting on board. To think that we're not going to hit $1 million Bitcoin, to me, is like, would shock me if we didn't hit $1 million Bitcoin in this next decade or 2 decades. I think we're going to see $1 million Bitcoin somewhere in the next 5, maybe to 8 years. And I think in 21 years, we're going to see it much higher. So we have other people like Tom Lee calling for it sooner on $1 million. We have other people talking about $1 million Bitcoins. We'll see what happens. Okay. Just my personal viewpoint, not financial advice. So Strategy kicking butt. And here is what makes a good Bitcoin treasury company. Here's the Bitcoin principles of Strategy. Number one, buy and hold Bitcoin indefinitely, exclusively, securely. Number two, prioritize MSTR common stock, long-term value creation. So Sailor has said it many times. He wants to serve his common shareholders. I'm a common shareholder. I own MSTR. So he's prioritizing common shareholders. Number 3, treat all investors with respect, consistency, and transparency. Number 4, structure MSTR to outperform Bitcoin via intelligent leverage. So the reason I own Strategy is because it outperforms Bitcoin. The reason I trust in Strategy is because he uses intelligent leverage to buy Bitcoin. Number 5, acquire Bitcoin continually while achieving positive Bitcoin yield. The goal of Saylor is to get more Bitcoin per share. So if you own the stock, his goal and mission is to get you more Bitcoin per share that you own. Period. End of story. He said that many times. He continues to stick to it. Grow rapidly and responsibly. That's number 6, subject to market dynamics. I think through the Q2 earnings that they just reported, which by the way, the earnings were off the freaking chart. Billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars of earnings. Come on, man. S&P 500 is coming. We'll know on September 5th, my friends, if they are included in the S&P 500. So we're going to know soon, and that'll be more passive income coming into the stock if they get officially approved. They met the requirements. Now they need to get approved and voted on. So growing responsibly and rapidly, subject to market dynamics. He's proved that he's doing that by his recent earnings report and also saying that, hey, we're not going to issue more common shares below 2.5 MNAV. So that is exciting. And 7, issue innovative fixed income securities backed by Bitcoin. That's what I was just going over. Fixed income securities are the preferred stock. Stripe, Stride, Strike, and Stretch. Okay. Number 8, maintain healthy, robust, pristine balance sheet. Their balance sheet is kicking ass with the new accounting rules that came out. Look at what Strategy is doing. Okay. They now have a multi-billion dollar gains that have been reported based on the new GAAP accounting rules. Okay. So that's exciting as well. They have a pristine balance sheet. Why? Because they only have 11% debt compared to their Bitcoin holdings. They have another 9% of preferred stock interest that they need to pay compared to their Bitcoin holdings. So they are kicking some ass in terms of keeping a pristine balance sheet, which is why we trust the company. They're super smart. And number 9, promote global adoption of Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. And I believe that's what they're doing. Saylor's leading the way. So this is exciting times. I hope this serves you. If you look at the market, has trusted a Strategy with another $18 billion for purchasing Bitcoin so far this year. So raised $18 billion in the first 7 months of 2025. Pretty awesome, right? $18 billion already. Strategy is at it, and they're winning and winning and winning. Institutions, this is pretty cool to see about the supply shock that's coming in. Institutions have bought 545,000 Bitcoin, while miners have only mined 97,000 new Bitcoin. So if you look at the Bitcoin bought by institutions and the demand, 545,000 Bitcoin, and the miners have only mined 97,000 new Bitcoin in 2025. Demand is far exceeding the supply in a big way, which is cool. Strategy rockets up. I'm not sure what they're at right now, but this was a screenshot. Oh, they're exactly at 400.22 right now. Okay. So Strategy rockets up. They're at 400 right now, and a little pullback taking place. And Trump has signed the executive order, which he did yesterday, 12.5 trillion. I thought it was 12.2, whatever way you slice it. Go do some research in 401k plans. So now 401k people can buy Bitcoin. So that is the weather and the sports. I hope it serves you, and I hope you're enjoying this run. And again, Strategy is not for the faint-hearted. It is just a volatile stock. I mean, it just moved 2.5% in the last 30 minutes that we've been on, right? It went up to 409, now down to 400. This thing moves. So we're going to hear from Saylor, some final words here from Saylor in a really nice video. And again, if you're interested in getting on the early access list of my money game platform, the whole goal is to make investing and trading simple. And I am simplifying the game, the terminology in investing, the terminology in trading, to where all of the old terms will basically be thrown out, and there will be new terminology that's 5th and 3rd grade language that 99% of the population can understand, with a cool AI that educates you and is entertaining and tells you in very simple terms about your favorite stock or your favorite crypto. So it's going to be fun. If you want that, you can go down below and you can get early access by giving your name and your email. And when it comes out, we will let you know. Okay. Now let's hear from Michael Saylor.
For 21 years, it's been a return. So Bitcoin's a long-term asset. You want to hold it for 21 years. It's been returning about 50% plus a year. It's very volatile. Believe it or not, there are a lot of people that want 2x Bitcoin. They don't want the Bitcoin return. They want 100% return. So MicroStrategy, the equity, or strategy, the equity, is amplified Bitcoin. We actually aim to generate 2x the Bitcoin return and 2x the volatility. And the way we do it is by issuing credit instruments. So believe it or not, there's someone that would like to get double their money market return or double the yield in their bank account. So if we give them 9%, we've doubled their bank account. We've kind of beat the SOFR rate by 5%. But, Bitcoin's returning 55%. So if I take the 5% boost and I give it in a short duration treasury instrument to credit investors, the other 45%.
There you go, Michael Saylor. And to answer your question, D-Money, when will the OTC market run out of Bitcoin? I mean, basically, OTC money is getting their Bitcoin from the miners. And if you look at the miners, if you look at a graph, the amount of Bitcoin that's being mined by the miners, if you look at it, it's just going, it's going down in terms of what they have available. And so the OTC market is just dropping of what's available. So there's clearly a supply shock that's coming in a big way. And to answer your other question, when will the U.S. buy Bitcoin? Who knows what the U.S. is going to do? The governments are so slow. And I think the thing about Trump that he's doing that's well is that he's finding ways for, he's finding ways to move the Bitcoin market, in my opinion, like signing this executive order to make Bitcoin and cryptocurrency available in 401k plans is another way to just move the initiative forward. And the government's slow as heck. You're dealing with bureaucracy. They've probably got computer systems from the year 1900. They're so outdated in technology. They're so outdated as a group. You got so much red tape to try and move things that it's just like it's like moving a sinking Titanic. So we just got to find other faster ways in the game, which is what you see entrepreneurs and companies buying Bitcoin. That's a way. You get things passed so people can actually go out and buy Bitcoin in their 401k plans. I just find ETFs being issued in the marketplace. Wall Street's going to move faster than the government. So the government's going to be the last ones to fall and jump in because they're just damn slow, and that's just the bottom line. But we'll find other ways to drive the Bitcoin initiative forward. All right. Hope you have a great day. Again, opt in for Money Game down below. There's a link down below. And we'll let you know when it comes out. Have a great rest of the day. I'll see you guys soon.